Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. From Yahuwah, our Father, and Yahusha. He is the Mashayah, the one that carries the burden of Yah. His voice, our High Priest, soon coming King. Hear, O Yesharal, Yahuwah, who is our Mighty One. He is one. There is no other Mighty One, brothers and sisters, than Yahuwah. And Yahusha is his voice. This is Brother Dawood coming to you again to bring the indictment. For thy violence against thy brother, YACUB. This is part 11. What shall be the end result? Shame shall cover you, Ashau, and you shall be cut off forever. Mystery Babylon. We made 3 parts pertaining to Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, just so that you can be sure of who it's speaking about. On this part, we're going to investigate the mark, the name. Look, in the center of the screen, the name of blasphemy, the name of the dragon. Does it not look like a serpent? How many of you know what you're looking at? This is the Hebrew script. It's called calligraphy. It's cursive Hebrew. How does it read? From right to left. And we're going to investigate the number. Let's begin. Revelation, the unveiling, chapter 13, 1 to 3. 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Note, the beast refers to 2 things. 1, a nation. 2, a man. Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. It wasn't a leopard. It had the attributes of one. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. It was not a bear, but it had its attributes. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. It was not a lion, but it had the attributes of the lion. Note, these are the 3 beast nations that came before the 4th. The 4th beast nation has all the attributes of those who came before it. But look at this. And the dragon. You know what the dragon looks like. Envision him in your mind. The great red dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now you know who set him up. 3. And I saw one of his heads, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. The third king, his name is Faisal. If you were to ask me, I would tell you this. He was one of the greatest kings in Saudi Arabia. He was a reformer. He is the one who elevated Saudi Arabia to where it is today. By what? Creating laws and policies. Yes. He renovated the holy mosques. He made them beautiful like they are now. And Mecca, yes, he did that one too. The flag that you see today with the name of blasphemy upon it, he created that. He made welfare systems, all sorts of policies that elevated Saudi Arabia to prominence, to the place where it is today. One of his cousins came, shot him twice in the head, and he died. Brother Dawood, was he resurrected? Did he come back to life? Because it says his deadly wound was healed. No, he didn't come back to life. But his policies still live on today in Saudi Arabia. 4. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. See, revelation means the unveiling. Now you see who they are worshiping in the promised land. All of our cousins, our family members. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? They're talking about Muhammad bin Salman. He is the Mu'adi. Brother Dawood, what is the Mu'adi? We have a Mashaya, a Messiah. They have a Mu'adi. They say that Muhammad bin Salman is the Mu'adi. 5. And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things. What things? He's trying to be a reformer, like Faisal. He's accepted all of Faisal's policies and are expanding on them. He said he's going to build a great city in the desert. He's going to allow tourism. And blasphemies. The Adhan. You know what they say. So you're not unlearned anymore. about the blasphemies that this book is speaking of. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Let's see. Each year has 12 months. 3 years, 36 months. A half a year is 6 months. 6 plus 36, 42 months, 3.5 years. Hey, suppose I add an additional month. Would this prophecy be accurate anymore? 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy, the Adhan, against who? Against Yah, to blaspheme his name, the name that is above all names, Yahuwah, and his tabernacle, and all of them that dwell in the heaven. What audacity he has. How did he do that? He says there is no other mighty one in existence except for the dragon. He's given all of the attributes that is due to Yah to Allah. 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Let's extract that word saints out of our minds. It is a contrived word created by the Europeans. They sought to replace this word, Kedushayam. Why? Kedushayam means the assembly of Yahuwah, which they know they are not a part of. Let's read it again. And it was given unto him to make war with the Kedushayam, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds. Can we stop for a second? Look at the prophecy here. Kindreds. Family members. The children that came out of the loins of Abraham. Does Muhammad bin Salman have power over the Europeans, the Africans, and the Asians? We're speaking of a regional thing here, a family dispute that will be settled very soon. Look who else he has power over. Those who speak different languages. When you come to Saud, to the Hajj, you're under their laws and their policies. And nations. All of the nations in the region recognize that Saudi Arabia and the de facto leader, Mohammed bin Salman, he is the custodian of the Holy Mosque, the custodian of the place where that woman sits in Mecca. He has power over everyone who comes to the Hajj. 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. Does America worship him? The answer is no. Does Europe worship him? No. Does the people in Africa worship him? Well, some of them. because they say, he is the Mahdi. He is the one who came to lead them to prosperity. Look who's going to worship him. Those whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. Whose names are written in the book of life? Only the children of Yeshua. They're the only ones who have a covenant, a contract with Yah, that if we overcome, keep these commandments, we can receive eternal life. No one else on the planet has that promise. Do you see why everyone is so angry? He elevated the low things of this world to confound the wise, yet we reject him because they used witchcraft on us. 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Hear what? 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Watch out, America, Europe, Africa, Asia. Your time is coming soon. Here is the patience and the faith of the Kedusha Yom. This is our statement. There was 144,000 under the altar. They cried out, "How long before you avenge us, O great and mighty Yah?" 11. And I beheld another beast. This prophecy is speaking of a man, not a nation. Watch. Coming up out of the earth, not out of the sea. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon. 2 horns? In the beginning we saw that the beast nation had 10 horns, 10 crowns, meaning 10 kings. Here we have 2 horns, 2 crowns, 2 kings. This prophecy is accurate to the letter. There's 2 kings ruling together in Saudi Arabia, the 7th and the 8th. Brother Dawood, Mohammed bin Salman is not a king yet. Yes, he is. He is the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia. Listen to me. And he is the crowned prince. 2 horns, 2 crowns, 2 kings. And he spake as a dragon. Have you heard him speak? Listen to one of his speeches. He speaks as one who has great authority. 12. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him. Before him? Yeah. The first beast nation that came before him, he exercises all of their policies and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast. No, to worship in the policies of the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Look, it's speaking the same language as we heard about Faisal. His policies were revived. Whose policies? The first beast here. Who is the first beast? There were 3 beast nations that came before Saudi Arabia. And the first beast is Babylon. 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. In those days, when you read something like this, you would say, wow, how did he do that? But today, we understand. He's bringing down weapons, bombs, missiles from the heaven and raining it down on men. 14. And he deceives them that dwell in the region by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the people, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. Make an image to the beast that had the wound by the sword and did live? What image did the first beast have? It was the image of a man that had a heart in it. Nebuchadnezzar. But this image was different. Same worship, same women, different shape. He didn't say they were going to make the same image that the first beast had, which was wounded by the sword and did live. They were going to make an image to that form of worship. When you hear the sound, you have to bow down. 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak? Does the Kaaba speak? Put yourself in Yahunatan's shoes. He was seeing an image. He was seeing the events happening before him. He saw the cube. He saw the people circumambulating. He heard the sound. In his mind, the sound and that blasphemous name was coming from the image. And he caused that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Did you know that Muhammad went and killed by the sword and converted the tribes to the worship of the first beast? 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. In Torah, we've learned that we were supposed to keep the law, statutes, judgments, commandments, this covenant, Torah, bind it to our right hand, memorize it, keep it in our foreheads, the cerebral cortex, take a visual picture of it. He's talking here about a mark should be in that right hand or in that forehead. What is the purpose of the mark? 17, that no man might buy or sell unless he had the mark. He had to have one of these three things to buy or to sell. He had to have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Let's stop for a moment. I want you to go to Blue Letter Bible. Go to Revelation 13:17. Click the Strong's box. Find the number for this word, number. Click on it. You'll see in the explanation it gives you two words that you can use. One is number, and the other is multitude. I chose multitude. You'll see why soon. Let's read this again, using the word multitude instead of number. And that no man might buy or sell unless he had the mark or the name or is one of the multitude of his name. This is a regional thing, brothers and sisters. This is only going to play out in one place. It's not around the world. And it has nothing to do with an actual number. 18. Here is wisdom. Do you have wisdom? Are you able to deduce? Let him that hath understanding count. Okay? I just told you that we had an alternative to number. It would be multitude. We have an alternative to count. Identify. Identify what? The number? No. Identify the multitude. Let's read it again without count and number. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding, is that you? Identify the multitude of the beast. For it is the multitude of a man. The end of verse 18. Brother Dawood. What about, and his number is 666? That's a lie. The name of the multitude. Here it is right before you. Look in the box. In the box, there's two separate boxes. Look at the one on the top. Let's read what it says. It's the Codex Vaticanus. The number is 666. In Greek, numerals, reading from left to right. Did you get that? Reading from left to right. So you would read from the X looking symbol, 6, and then the swiggly lines, 60, and the other swiggly line, 6. Let me tell you what happened. The Greeks, the Romans, the Europeans, and everyone who came before, when they saw this, because of their white supremacist attitudes, they say it must be a Greek numeral. So all these years they led us astray, believing that it was 6, 6, 6. But this was a vision. It was given to a Hebrew, to Yahunatan, from the tribe of Yahuda, one of the apostles of Yahusha. In the vision, he was shown the beast nation that would arise in the region, and he was shown this. I don't think he even knew what he was writing, but he saw it, and he wrote it, and maybe the angels told him, this is the blasphemous name. Go to the bottom. The same script, just a little bit inverted. See the first symbol? And remember, it doesn't read from left to right. It reads from right to left in Hebrew. What does it tell you? In the name of Allah. Look at the last part. 2 crossed swords. That is the mark. So right here, when Yahunatan was receiving this vision, he was receiving the vision of the name that was on the beast, that was on the 7 heads, that the nation calls upon, that's on the multitudes, and he saw the mark of the beast. Here's the mark. Do you see the 2 crossed swords and the tree? See it on the stamps? You cannot do anything in Saudi Arabia unless you have the mark of the beast. The mark is not 6, 6, 6. Wipe that out of your head. They have made total idiots out of all of us with their translation of this prophecy. Look, if you look sideways on the top part of this legal document, this visa, it says drug traffickers face death penalty in Saudi Arabia. You'll lose your head. Come over there talking about you want to bring some vape in your bag. Is it worth it, really? You cannot buy or sell unless you had the mark The name, or you're one of the multitude of the name. I'm going to show you all three here. You see those blackened circles? I think there's 7 of them. Look inside of them. It says 500. That's the denomination. But look, 2 crossed swords and a tree. The mark. Look up top. In the middle of the script, the name of blasphemy. Looks like a serpent. You can't miss it. It's right there in the middle. The name. Look under the name. There's the image of the beast. The woman with the names of blasphemy in her forehead, written in gold. And look down on the ground. The multitude. What are they doing? Circumambulating around the Kaaba. What did it say? Identify the multitude of this beast nation, for they are the multitude of a man. Look in the picture. The Sauds. Here is wisdom. It has returned to the children of Yeshua that have arisen in these last days. Continue to part 12. Shalom.